What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to an AEW Dynamite review. I'm here to review All Elite Wrestling Dynamite St. Patrick's Day Slam. As you can tell my voice, I had a couple of beers last night. I'm a little bit tender this morning, but that will not stop me from reviewing the wonderful St. Patrick's Day Slam. Before we get into any of the actual action, there was just a little thing that showed us that MJF and his new group arrived in a private jet earlier on, and we'll be hearing from them later on tonight. And the first match on the card was Pentagon versus Corey Rhodes, and it was really good. Before Corey could even get his nice Nightmare Factory green t-shirt off, Pentagon just started kicking the shit out of him. Just started kicking lumps at him. They went to the outside. Pentagon picked up like a guardrail, like a spare one that was just lying on the heel side for some reason. It was really good, really violent. Not really violent, especially in comparison to the main event, but like quite brutal. The pair of them really gave a lot for this opening match. Oh, Pentagon also put on a little nice St. Patrick's Day hat and was hanging out, and he looked very handsome. At one point, Corey goes for a crossroads. It's not enough to put Pentagon away. Picks him up for a vertebreaker. Still not enough to put Pentagon away. A little bit more brawling. Pentagon goes, breaks Corey's arm, and as he's sort of posturing, gets rolled up by Corey in a sort of jackknife for the win. Overall, I thought it was a really good match. I'm not the biggest fan of the finish. It felt a little bit too WWE for me, especially considering that before, I understand Lucha Underground. Let me actually turn the camera down a little bit for a better angle. There we go. But like I say, I understand that before in Lucha Underground, which is its own sort of mad cosmic universe where nothing matters and you can just murder people and it's fine. I understand that happens in an alternate reality, but Penta was breaking arms in that move. When he did it to Kenny at All In, Kenny switched the arm he usually hits the one-legged angel with to put him away. So looking at it now, I didn't like how Corey just sort of got like a weak jackknife and rolled him up for the pin. You know, there are more ways you could prolong this feud than a sort of very standard Monday Night Raw finish. But overall, I thought it was a really fun match. Penta looked very handsome in his little Paddy's Day hat. Of course, after the bell as well, Pentagon attacked him, and then the Nightmare family came out to run interference, and then QT got involved, kinda, but not really. He just sort of stood there, and it was a whole sort of confusing mess of an. I don't know what was going on, but it was a fun match, like I said. We go backstage to the Young Bucks being interviewed, and the Young Bucks say, look, Phoenix may have beat both of us in singles matches, but we are the best tag team in the world. Then Don Callis walks over just to wind them up, gives him a t-shirt that says no slapping legs. And he sort of just gets under their skin, gets to them, and just continues to be the biggest arsehole in pro wrestling. But Don just says, like, I don't see the same Young Bucks that I knew. I don't see the same Young Bucks that I brought out to Japan. I don't see the same Young Bucks that I believed were the best tag team in the world in it, because you're not anymore. When you look in the mirror, do you see those same Young Bucks from New Japan? Or do you see people resting on their laurels because they started a company? And it was a really good promo, and I know it's building to that match with the Good Brothers, and I can't wait. I really can't wait. Jade Cargill had her second ever match in All Elite Wrestling after this, and it was just a big squash match. Her and Danny Jordan, the unfortunate victim, had a little back and forth. It was like a couple of reversals into like a back waist lock sort of thing. Cargill then hits the ropes and floors her with a big like pump, knee, kick kind of maneuver. Waits for her to get up. German suplexes her and she lands right in the back of her head. Then she kips up, points at her, picks her up for the sort of glam slam move, I don't know what she's calling it, and Jade Cargill picks up the win. After the match, then she went out to antagonise Red Velvet. And oh my god, you have to give Jade Cargill the Brock Lesnar run. Surely. You have to give her like the Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle year one push. I think, especially after the main event, we put the women's title on Britt Baker. Give Britt Baker a good 6-month run. And then Jade Cargill comes up. Because Jade Cargill can go through the women's division and not face Britt. Yeah, she can maybe be in a triple threat where Britt pins, like, I don't know, Riho, say. But she never actually beats Britt. So Britt gets a nice, long, memorable reign, and then eventually Cargill comes to collect and fucking kills her. Just murders her to bits. And, oh man, Jade Cargill's the best. I love her. I think she's amazing. Up next, MJF and his group of minions walk out to the ring, and Tully Blanchard gets on the mic, and Tully says, you know, last week we were stood here in the ring with AEW's greatest faction ever, and what do we do to them? Guess that makes us the baddest faction that AEW's ever had. I'm here with a bunch of legitimate killers, and I'm so happy to be here. Then he passes the mic to Max, who cuts an amazing MJF promo, sort of breaks down everything about the 6 months he was a part of the Inner Circle. Just, honestly, just unbelievable from start to finish. He said the goal was to make everyone in the Inner Circle think he was trying to overtake the Inner Circle, when in reality his goal was to kill it from the inside and in the ashes of the Inner Circle make the most powerful group AEW has seen yet. And then he goes down to break down everyone in the group, shouts them all out, and reveals the name of the group, The Pinnacle. The Pinnacle, I didn't like. It could be better, could definitely be worse, but it could also be better. I didn't like it at first, then I saw their t-shirt, and it's like a mountain with like six, it's like, I don't know, it's like 6 diamonds under it, and I quite like the t-shirt. So I like it a bit more, but yeah, The Pinnacle is officially born, and I can't wait for them to just hold all the titles. We then had the 10-man tag, which was Jurassic Express and Bear Country versus Matt Hardy, Private Party, and Butcher and the Blade. Right at the start, Bear Country grab an arm of Marco Stunt each, and just like without even exerting any real energy, just fucking yeet him up and over the ropes, and he nearly dies landing on the other team. It was a really fun match, and Luchasaurus looked great. Marco was a lot of fun, obviously. There was a lot of tensions running high between Bear Country and the rest of the team, I think just because they were just being big horses and kind of hard to work with. At one point, I think one of Bear Country picked up like Isaiah Cassidy or Mark Quinn, I think, for a body slam and made him kick Jungle Boy in the head or something. I don't know, it was a fun match. The finish though did come when Private Party hit the gin and juice on Marco Stunt. Matt Hardy tagged in, picked him up, hit him with a twist of fate for the win, and I think that's the right call. You build the Matt Hardy Empire more with putting them with Butcher and Blade. I think everyone worked really well together. This makes Bear Country look class, and it was a really fun match. We're backstage talking with Christian Cage next, and he finally gets to talk after last week. He didn't even get to say a word, and he just says, he goes, look, Dash, I'm sure you've heard of a workhorse in pro wrestling. It's someone that, you know, everyone wants to work with because they come in and they make everyone better. They make wrestling better. Well, I'm a workhorse, and that's why I'm here. I want to prove that I'm one of the best to ever do it. He then says there's only one spot he's interested in AEW, and that is Kenny Omega's spot. He says he understands why Kenny Omega tried to take his spotlight last week, but he will come for Kenny Omega. And oh my god, just give me it now. Give me it now. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Eddie Kingston's walking out to the ring for the tag match, him and Moxley versus the Good Brothers, as he's jumped by the Good Brothers on his way to the ring. Moxley comes out for the save, but the scrap sort of goes everywhere, and the Good Brothers make light work of Moxley, who's all taped up and all sore and injured, by hitting a magic killer on the floor, get Eddie Kingston at the ring, and just start tearing him apart. Eventually, Mox gets up to the apron, and Gallows just runs across the ring and boots him off the apron. It was a lot of fun. The match was a lot of fun. I mean, it's Eddie Kingston, Jon Moxley, and the Good Brothers. Like, what do you expect? The Good Brothers looked amazing. The finish kind of came a little bit out of nowhere. The Good Brothers were setting up for the magic killer on Moxley. Eddie runs in, makes a save, sends Gallows to the outside, and Gallows pulls Kingston out to the outside with him, and they brawl on the outside for a little bit. And then kind of Moxley just rolls up Carl Anderson for the win. I liked it. I thought it was a really good match. And this is, you know, an effective roll-up finish, especially after the quite naff one in the opening match. I thought it was a fun match. I would have liked to have seen a bit more, but I liked the story of Mox being incredibly hurt after all of the shit he's went through the past few weeks. After the match, the Good Brothers start jumping them, obviously. And then Callis and Omega walk out. Omega is dressed like a cop in a bar, like an undercover cop in a bar, because now they can just go to a bar undercover now, apparently. So people feel safe, but it's not going to fucking work like that. But he walks out dressed like a geography teacher with like a fucking grey jacket and boot cuts on. And he's like jazz snapping to his entrance music. And he's got a chair. And he walks in, he just sits on the chair in the ring. Then Eddie Kingston just fucking takes him off the chair. But they jump Eddie, throw him at the ring. Sorry, before they throw Eddie at the ring, they put Eddie's leg in the chair, come off the ropes, smash it. But then they go to do the same with Moxley, but around his head. And that's when the Young Bucks run out for the save. There's a lot of tension. There's like a two-sweet, just trying to two-sweet the Young Bucks, saying they're all pals. But I don't know. It was good that the Young Bucks came out and made the save because they don't want to see their friends do this. But I want to know what's happening, because the Young Bucks turned heel and then they didn't. And then they did, and then they didn't. Then Kenny turned heel, and now they're upset that he turned. It's just a bit fucking stressful. Tony Schiavone was interviewing Darby Allin and Sting next, and he says, they talk about the street fight a little bit, and then Darby says, look, I won this title in November, and I've only defended it 3 times, which is a joke. Now that Team Taz is in the rear view, I want to pay tribute to the greatest TNT champ of all time. Immediate Brody chant starts. And then he says, Dark Order. Open challenge, one of yous next week gets a shot at my TNT championship. Lance Archer comes out then pissed, and he's like, look, I deserve this shot. Look, you may think you're great, the internet may think you're great, but you're the biggest joke in the wrestling business right now. And if you like coughing so much, I'll put your ass in one whenever I get a shot at that title. And then he fucks off before Team Taz walk out. But as Taz is coming out, Brian Cage cuts him off and grabs the mic and says, nah, I've got something to say this time to Sting. And then Brian Cage just sort of says, you know what's thing, even though you're sticking your nose in our business all the time, I've got a lot of respect for you. And Team Taz lose their mind. Ricky starts screams, are you smoking crack? And then Cage just like bumps past them all as he walks to the back. So I wonder what's going to happen there. I think Cage can break out on his own, but also weakens Team Taz, and I love Team Taz. There's then a video package with Scorpio Sky, just explaining that he's sick of being a nice guy, and that would explain why he's now turned heel, and it was fun. Then after that, we had Rey Fenix versus Angelico in a really fun, sort of technical, liquid wrestling match. I had nothing much to report except for just a lot of really fun, fluid, incredible wrestling from the pair of them. Phoenix hit like a sort of crucifix bomb, a big old knee, and then a pile driver for the win. And it was a really good match. I enjoyed it. Nothing much to report, like I said. But then I have Alex Marvez interrupting Miro's workout to ask if they accept the challenge that Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor have laid out. And Miro says no, he doesn't want to. But then Kip comes in and Kip's saying, look, I saw what you did. You pushed him into my wife. You know, they ruined the wedding. All this. And, Miro's being more and more heel, which I didn't think was going to be the case here. I thought they would make Kip turn heel on Miro because Miro's Miro. But it looks more like Miro's going to be the one who breaks off as the big heel out of the pair, which I'm okay with. But yeah, Miro sort of was pissed off at the idea that they would want another match, but Kip accepts it on their behalf anyway after Miro's left. The Dark Order then give their answer to Darby Allin as who's going to answer the challenge. Negative One runs out and says it'll be me, and Evil Owen's like, wait a minute, you're only 9, maybe in 10 years. And then they go, what about Johnny Silver? And they all start chanting meat. And next week, John Silver versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. We then had the main event, the first ever women's main event in AEW history, and the first ever Lights Out Unsanctioned match on Dynamite. Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. And oh my goodness, it was amazing. It was just a wonderful, beautiful, violent carnival of excellent pro wrestling. Before the bell, Rebel hit Thunder Rosa with a crutch. Rosa makes chase but gets speared by Britt. And Britt was just amazing in this match. There was a sort of kind of curb stomp sort of move on the steel steps. There was like a superplex on a pile of chairs. There was a Death Valley driver onto a ladder off like the middle rope. Just such an amazing, like I said, wonderful carnival of violence. Both women were bleeding profusely, especially Britt Baker. And it just proved that all the people that say, I don't like women's wrestling isn't a genre of wrestling the same way that hardcore or technical or submission or lucha or comedy wrestling is. Women's professional wrestling is just simply professional wrestling, and Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa are two of the best in the world right now. I can't give this match enough praise. I genuinely think it's easily one of my favourite matches this year. Oh yeah, there was also so many thumbtacks. Just so many thumbtacks. At one point, Britt locks in lockjaw, and Thunder Rosa rolls back into the thumbtacks, making Britt break up the submission. And then the finish happened when they sort of both went onto the apron. There was a table set up next to them. Like I said, they're both just covered in blood. Britt Baker's back is all fucked up with thumbtacks. And Rosa hits the Fire Thunder driver off the apron through the table for the win. And holy shit, what a match. Genuinely one of the best matches in Dynamite history. One of the best matches I've ever seen in my life. Definitely in one of probably my top 3 this year so far. It was so fucking good. And as well, because these don't count towards the records, you can, have Britt easily go into a match with Hikaru Shida, because this match, even though she lost, doesn't count against her record. Literally, Britt Baker was bleeding like she was Eddie Guerrero. They left it all in that ring, and if you can watch that and tell, I don't like women's wrestling, piss off. Just see you hate women and move on. So yeah, that is my review of AEW Dynamite St. Patrick's Day Slam. Overall, that was a very good show. I would say a 9 for me. Honestly, that main event brought it up so much. It was an incredible show from start to finish. The 2 roll-up finishes, but I thought it was great. Jade Cargill looks amazing. All the promos were great. Eddie Kingston, just being Eddie Kingston, is always fun. And that main event, if you've not watched it, go and watch it. It is honestly so good. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Leave a like as well. Comment as well what you thought of the show. Did you like the main event? Are you a misogynist who doesn't like women's wrestling? If you are, you're wrong. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.